Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultan of Oman television. First, the headlines. Italy and France are trying to forge a common strategy on Libya crisis. An explosion followed by a gunfire hit center of the Afghan capital, Kabul. And Sohar Port signs an agreement to use solar energy as alternative for gas for company work in the free zone. Those are the headlines, and now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos sent a cable of greetings to Her Majesty Elizabeth II, Queen of the Great United Kingdom, Northern Ireland, and Head of the Commonwealth. The foreign ministers of Italy and France said their countries are trying to forge a common strategy on Libya. Italy's minister, Enzo Moavero Milanius, told reporters after the two held talks in Rome yesterday that lower-ranking ministry officials will meet next week in the Italian capital to build the path towards a goal that remains a shared one. French Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian said there will be no progress towards ending the current fighting in Libya without a solid Franco-Italian agreement. Italy and France both have energy and other strategic interests in Libya. Fighting this month by militias loyal to rival governments in Tripoli and in eastern Libya is threatening to trigger a civil war on the scale of the 2011 uprising that toppled and killed longtime Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. Sudanese protest leaders are announced plans to unveil a civilian body to take over from the ruling military council as huge crowds demonstrated outside army headquarters. The military council, which took power after ousting Omar al-Bashir on April 11th, has so far resisted calls from protesters to quickly make way for a civilian administration. The Sudanese Professional Association, which has been spearheading the protests, said in a statement that it would name members of the council at a news conference tomorrow outside the army complex, to which foreign diplomats are also invited. Yesterday marked 4 months to the day when the first protest was triggered in response to a government decision to triple the price of bread. The protests soon escalated into widespread rallies demanding Bashir's departure. Bashir is wanted by the International Criminal Court over the conflict that the UN says killed 300,000 people, but the military have resisted sending the detained ex-leader to The Hague. Daesh group militants ambushed Syrian government forces in the country's desert, setting off 2 days of clashes that killed over 24 soldiers. A pro-government militia confirmed the ambush, saying it had sent its fighters to liberate the 2 besieged battalions. The Daesh group lost its last territories in Syria in March after months of battles with US-backed Kurdish-led fighters in the eastern province of Deir al-Zur, but the militants remained active in the desert to the west, where they have taken refuge in increasingly targeted government troops and allied militia. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the militants ambushed government forces in the desert of central Homs province Thursday night, setting off clashes that lasted for 2 days. The observatory said at least 27 soldiers were killed, including 4 officers. An explosion followed by gunfire hit the center of the Afghan capital Kabul today, close to the communications ministry and one of the city's main hotels, killing at least 7 people a day after hopes for an all-encompassing peace talk have collapsed. At least 8 people were wounded. The Afghan officials said the blast followed several months of relative calm in Kabul, which coincided with talks between US and Taliban officials aimed at opening the way for normal peace negotiations to end more than 17 years of war in Afghanistan. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said U.S. diplomatic efforts will continue towards the goal of denuclearization of North Korea, a day after a North Korean official said it no longer wanted to deal with him in talks. Pompeo told reporters in Washington that U.S. diplomats, led by the Special Representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, would continue efforts to achieve North Korea's denuclearization, which he said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un committed to last June. The North Korean Foreign Ministry official in charge of U.S. affairs said on Thursday that North Korea no longer wanted to deal with him and he should be replaced in talks by someone more mature. The That statement came hours after North Korea announced its first weapons test since a second summit between Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un broke down in February. Still to come in our news bulletin. The Sultanate, for a second time, succeeded in operating a tourism exchange between the Port Sultan Qaboos and Muscat International Airport. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. Sohar Port and Free Zone signed leasing land agreement with Shell Development Oman Company. The agreement will pave the way to use electricity generated from solar energy as an alternative for gas for companies working at Sohar Free Zone. 600 hectares of land will be specified for solar energy stations, which are under improvement. The 25 megawatt capacity project will be focused on providing supplies for Altman and Silver and Chrome Company. Directorate of Education at Batna South celebrated World Autism Day by promoting awareness on children with autism, potential treatments and early signs. The celebration commemorated the government and non-government efforts and services extended to children suffering from autism and aims at raising awareness on the importance of early diagnosis to secure treatment as early as possible. The event was organized by Dar al-Huda School for Basic Education in the Wilayat of Barqa. In the Governorate of Baremi, you can find Masa village in Wilayah of Mohada, in timeless peaceful village, surrounded by mountains and blessed with fertile soil and bountiful water. The fertile land allows the locals and farmers to focus on a variety of produce like pomegranates, dates, lime trees, carrot and onion and other kinds of vegetables and fruits. Besides the numerous farms that you can find in Masa village, you can gaze at the beautifully aligned agriculture terraces. For the second time, the Sultanate succeeded in a tourist exchange between Port Sultan Qaboos and Muscat International Airport. More details in the following report by Salih Khalfan Al-Rabi.
The diverse and natural Omani environment allures major cruise ships to the country, making it appear on the map of navigation for these ships all around the world. For the second time, the Sultanate succeeded to operate a tourism exchange between Port Sultan Qaboos and Muscat International Airport. The operation included 1,800 tourists, half of whom flew on 2 consecutive days from Gatwick, Manchester and Birmingham in the United Kingdom to Muscat International Airport, and then traveled by bus to Port Sultan Qaboos to embark on their tour to the region's ports on board Marilla Discovery cruise ship. While 900 tourists descended from the same cruise ship and then headed to Muscat International Airport to depart through the same flights back to the UK.
These ships will start making Oman a hub, and this is what our end game is to attract them, to stay and make Oman the hub for future businesses, so that these passengers come in a day or two early, they stay in Oman, etc. So right now what we're trying to do is basically promote Oman and showcase Oman as an efficient and a organized logistic hub.
This tourism movement in the Sultanate's ports and airports contributed to introducing the Omani cultural heritage and the bright present for the glorious Renaissance, revitalizing traditional markets, promoting local products, and enhancing the added value of the tourism sector.
We've been out on the sites and tours of Oman today, found it very, very fascinating. Lovely, clean place, really, really nice, really enjoyed it. See another side to your culture, it's a bit of an eye-opener. Really enjoyed it. Went to the palace, went to the mosque, went to the souk. Thoroughly enjoyable day out. Definitely come back again.
This is the second time I've been to Oman. We came here last time with a cruise ship, visited the fort, which is really nice, man. I mean, it's warm, don't get me wrong, it's warm. And then I had to walk around the town, which is really nice. And then the market was lovely, with all the kind of like little things you can buy, the scarves, the trinkets, the lights, the candles and the things like that, man. Yeah, really, really pleasant experience, mate.
Every year, between October and April, cruise ships movement increases in the Sultanate. This season, the Omani ports received 298 ships, marking an increase of 106 ships compared to last season. Port Sultan Qaboos witnessed the highest number of these visiting cruise ships by receiving 147 ships, while 72 visited Khasab Port and 79 visited Salalah Port. For the Sultanate of Oman Television, Saleh bin Khalfan al-Rahbi.
This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Italy and France are trying to forge a common strategy on Libya crisis. An explosion followed by a gunfire hit the center of the Afghan capital, Kabul. And Sohar Port signs an agreement to use solar energy as an alternative for gas for companies' work in the free zone. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsrooms and the studio, it's good night.